Hi, this is Pat Ahearne. I'm with Manhattan Beach Little League, and I'm here at the Refinery Baseball Training Facility in Torrance, California. What I want to talk to you right now is a little bit about pitching and pitching mechanics. And I want to go through some checkpoints that I look at whenever I'm evaluating a pitcher and his pitching mechanics. The first thing that I look at above all else is how they set up, because without a proper setup, everything else behind it is going to fall apart. So think about this. Contrary to what some hitters might say, pitchers are athletes, and as an athlete, you want to stand that way. A lot of times I see young and even older players, when they start their delivery, they're too tall, they're too upright. Now, if you're an athlete as a pitcher, think of how other athletes would stand. Think about a basketball player playing defense. Think about a tennis serve if you're getting ready to receive the tennis serve. Think about a boxer and how he would stand. You would never stand like this as a boxer. So the first thing I always look at, and it's a big problem especially with the younger kids, is are their legs bent? Are their muscles in their legs turned on and ready to go? So the easiest way to fix that is just to have them get a little bit of bend in their legs. Put your pitchers initially in that position first. When you get a good bend in the knees, then they're an athlete, they're ready to go. They can move, they feel comfortable, they feel balanced. Almost the same thing as a hitter stance. You'd never see a hitter standing at the plate like this. They always have a little bend so that they got a good foundation of their legs under them. So that's my very first checkpoint, is to make sure that the player has a little bit of flex in the knees and the hips so that these muscles are firm and turned on and ready to work. The next thing I look at when a pitcher starts his motion is head movement, okay? You want to have the head stay steady and still, eyes on the target, and moving in the direction of the target. A lot of times you'll see a pitcher who will, out of the stretch, lift his leg and have his head move away from the target. He's losing some of his power, some of his control. The easiest fix to that generally is you will see kids too wide with their feet, and in order to pick their leg up, they have to move their head this way. So I just tell them to narrow their feet to about hip wide. That way, if you look at head movement, you can do a leg lift with no movement away from your target, and then you can just go forward from there. So that's checkpoint number 2. And once you have your athletic stance and your head movement under control, the most important part of delivery is the first 3 feet. If you don't get your lower half, if you don't get the car moving down the hill, it's going to mean big trouble, loss of power, loss of control. So after they're set up athletically, their head is under control, I look at their front hip and how does that start to move once they lift their leg. The biggest problem you see is a pitcher staying in one place and slowing down as they lift. There's no forward movement here. What you really want to feel is the front hip aggressively going down the hill towards the target. An easier way that I can illustrate this and give a visual is if you think of your lower body as a car, you think of your upper body as luggage sitting on top of the car. Down at the bottom of the mound where you land, that's you slamming on the brakes. So you take your car, the lower body, and go as fast as you can down the hill and slam on the brakes. Once you do that, the luggage on top goes flying and picks up all that energy. Now, if you take your car slow and timid down the mound, no energy comes up to the luggage and it just flops over on the hood of the car. So the best way I can illustrate it is just think, this is your car, you're going down the hill as fast as you can. The luggage stays right behind it, and once you slam on the brakes, it goes flying. So a lot of my players seem to connect with that, just thinking, get it going fast with the hips and the legs, and then once you slam on the brakes here, everything else translates through on that speed. So this 3 feet is very big, very important. Usually I can tell if it's going to be a good pitch or not based off of how much this gets going. Think of a major leaguer like a Lincecum. If you look at him from the side, you're going to see his front hip getting way out there and his legs still way back and ready to go. It looks like this. Really gets going. So that's something that is, you know, an extreme superstar, but that's the concept that we're trying to impart to the players. You got to get those legs and those hips moving, stay right behind it. Now, that takes you into your release point. When you hit the ground and slam on the brakes of the car and everything comes through, the release point is, it's so dynamic and so fast that that's why you have to have everything set up properly beforehand, and the release point basically just happens. So if this first 3 feet and your setup is right, it takes care of 95% of the problems out here on release. So another visual that I like to give to players is, again, thinking of a boxer. If a boxer's here and has got the heavy bag out in front of him and wants to deliver the most powerful punch, they're going to get their legs under them, get the drive in the legs going and stay right behind it and release a good punch right to his target. Now you take this stance, you put a ball in your hand and go like this, I've got a powerful pitch, okay? So to recap the basics, get in an athletic stance, control your head movement by starting at about hip wide. The first 3 feet, get the car going down the hill, and then just deliver full power punch right to the catcher's glove.